Hey guys, welcome back to the Tea Party Podcast. It's the podcast where you find new friends and new music. This week I'm joined by a Denver native who you may have heard on one of your favorite Spotify or Apple playlists, and I think with over 400,000 followers on TikTok, we can officially dub him TikTok famous. It's Spencer Crandall, and man, thanks for jumping on.
Of course, I'm so glad to be here. I've never been called TikTok famous, so that just tickled me. That's hilarious.
Hey man, I think you're there. But before we get too far into this, guys, today's episode is brought to you by Spokane Mobile Auto Care. If you're in the Spokane area, give them a call, 509-570-2178. From tires to oil changes and roadside assistance to vehicle lockouts, why go anywhere else when they will come to you? Check them out on Facebook. Just search for Spokane Mobile Auto Care. But now the part that everybody's been waiting for. Time to turn our attention to the man of the hour, Spencer Crandall. And let's just start from the beginning, man. You're from Denver. Give us a rundown of growing up in Colorado and how you got into music.
Yeah, so grew up in Denver. I have an older brother, younger brother, little sister, parents who have been together for 40 years. Grew up kind of, 20 minutes south of Denver. So, like, I could pop into the city in 20 minutes and we could be kind of in the middle of nowhere in, like, 10 to 15 minutes south. So I had a really cool upbringing where I had kind of the best of both worlds. We could go to Broncos games. We could go downtown. We could do fun city stuff. And we spent pretty much every single weekend growing up. We have a property up in like Estes Park. It doesn't have anything on it, but it allows us to fish up there. So we go fishing up there. We go camping. We were just outside constantly living in Colorado. Snowmobiling, skiing, snowboarding, fishing, hiking, doing all that fun stuff. So I was just kind of an outdoors kid. I was a sports kid. And then whenever we were doing those things, the soundtrack was country music. So my dad's a huge country music fan and loved Garth Brooks, still does, loves Garth Brooks and Kenny Chesney and Tim McGraw and all the greats, Johnny Cash and Vince Gill. And, the list goes on and on and on. And so we would be in the car, we'd be on a hike, we'd be somewhere outside listening to country music. And then I didn't get into music till I was older because I was such a sports guy. So I sang a little bit growing up. My voice changed. I was like, oh, well, okay, I can't do it anymore. All my friends started playing football. I was like, okay, cool, I'll be a football guy. I'll do that. I got a little scholarship to play in college at Colorado Mesa University for a year. 2 shoulder surgeries later, had no idea what to do with my life. And, football, athletes, that whole thing's such a piece of your identity. And so I just was kind of identityless. I was without an identity. And so was just really searching for like my next steps. And I was like changing my major. I just broke up with my first girlfriend. Like a lot of change was happening. And that's when I found music.
Well, it seems to have worked out okay for you. But one thing, going back to your college football career, you had some fantastic flow. Are we ever going to see that long hair again?
No, my hair's falling out. Well, I have... Sorry, my camera's beeping at me. No, unfortunately not. That was the highlight of my hair days. I had some beautiful flow, like my freshman year of college. I let it down. It was like touching the back of my shoulders, and it was fun. It was kind of like a bit of a mullet, so that was great. And then I started getting some thin hair, and here we are. Now I wear hats every day.
Hats are maybe the greatest invention of guys' clothing
ever. You
have
no idea. It's the only way, one, I can cover up my thinning hair, and two, that I can accessorize, like shoes and hats. It's just really all that we got.
That's true. That's so true. Unless you're stuck in an office all day and then you can have a tie, but that's the only time that's acceptable.
Once you get into like high fashion for guys, there's a lot of options. But like casual wear, you're just stuck. You're like jeans and a tee, slacks and a tee. It's like, it's just not a lot of options. So hats give me freedom. Shoes give me freedom.
See, I like it. So when was it that you kind of decided that music was what you wanted to do for a living?
Oh, man. That's a great question. My pause or hesitation is because it took a lot longer than I think I even realized. I'm kind of thinking back so kind of hopping back into the story, right? I'm in my dorm room and I'm just barely posting covers. I was posting covers on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram when it was 15-second videos, and I'd literally pick like the best 3 lines of a song and post it online. And like I didn't get any likes or love for like a super long time. Like 6 months, nothing. I think even like 8 months, nothing. And then like around like a year, I just started asking people to tag their friends. I was like, well, maybe I'll try this. Like, all right, everybody tag 3 friends. And then it started to grow a little bit more because kind of that snowball effect. Like if you tell 3 people and then one of those people sticks around and they tell 3 people, one of those people sticks around, and I still, basically base my career on that premise of like, kind of the grassroots way of building it. And so then probably like a year later, I was like, well, okay, now the covers and Instagram and stuff doing well. I have some people who are like kind of asking for some original stuff. I went to my parents. I was like, would you guys help me make some music? And they're like, sure. Like, you get good grades, you have a scholarship, like we'll reward that. So they were super helpful, and they paid for me to do like a 5-song EP that thank God doesn't exist anymore. And it, didn't stream very well or anything, but I kind of in that moment, maybe even naively, was like, oh, okay, like I have to do this forever. Like this is the most fun thing I can do as a human on planet Earth. From writing the songs to being in the studio, and then like once I started playing a couple shows, I think, so like, okay, let's fast forward a little bit more. So then I'm in college, we put out some songs, put out a little bit more music. I take my first trip to Nashville in January 2016, and I meet a guy named Tyler Rich, and Tyler's one of my really good friends now and my next door neighbor for the last 4 years. And he was like, man, if you really want to do this, you got to move out here. You got to do it. So I did end up moving, but I lied to him, and I told him that I was going to be in California over Easter weekend seeing some family, and I'd love to open up some shows for him. And he's like, oh, well, if you're already going to be out there, like I can't pay you anything, but if you want to open up acoustically. I was like, heck yeah. So I, didn't have a plane ticket, so I bought a plane ticket. I went out there, and I opened up like 3 shows for him, and I think that was probably the moment, very long-winded way to answer a short question, of the music was kind of finally clicking, the socials were clicking, and I just started playing some shows, and all that stuff together felt like, oh, this is what it would feel like to really do this. Because when I was just doing the socials, it felt like I was just kind of doing it for fun. When I put out the music, it felt like I was like experimenting. When I went to a show, and there was like, a very small group of people, but like 10 people in the front row who were like singing songs back to me that I had written, that full circle moment happened. I was like, oh, this is it.
So does Tyler know that you flew out there? Okay. Making sure that you're not spilling the beans
Tyler,
here.
No. Like I've been at his wedding. Like he's one of my good friends. So I'm super blessed to have, he's been a mentor and a really good friend to me, because he's like 8 or 9 years my senior, and it's really done everything I'm trying to do. He has a record deal, he's been on the radio, and he's seen a lot of success. And so I get to ask him questions like, what did you do at this point? And instead of going left, he can be like, dude, go right. Trust me. Like it messed me up. So that's really helpful. And, I told him that a while ago, and he's like, yeah, man, you're a hustler. I love it. I did the same thing with Chris Lane. That's how I got on tour with Chris. So Tyler introduced me to Chris because they were on tour together. And I was like, Chris, I see you're going to be in, at this point I had some more streams and some better socials. I was like, I see you're going to be in Denver. I'm from there, and I'm already going to be out there. I'll do it for free if you guys need an acoustic opener and just help bring people through socials. He's like, sure. So, I wasn't already going to be out there. I bought a plane ticket. And again, he invited me on the rest of that tour because he's like, well, we can't pay you, but if you want to come hang and acoustic open, do it. So it was like me, then Morgan Wallen, then Chris.
Man, so that's it. It's a winning formula for you. I like it.
Yeah, the moral of the story, kids, is just lie. No,
there you go.
No, I mean, there's, I think, a big reason a lot of people in, country music, but music in general, they're just yes people, the people who are doing good things, I think. They're people who try and just like, I didn't really have the money, but I scraped it up, and I figured it out. And yeah, every once in a while it was some road trips that weren't fun. I remember one time my booking agent called me. He's like, all right, you can open up for Scotty McCreery. I'm like, heck yeah. He's like, cool. You got to drive there by tomorrow, which it was like 11 hours away. And then you're going to play for 30 minutes, and you're going to make $250, which is gas in a hotel, not even. So I lost money to drive 22 hours within 2 days to play for 30 minutes acoustic. But I said yes. And that was like a big turning point in my agent's brain of like, oh, like he wants it, you know, and he's in this for the long haul. And I think that strategy will always yield results. And a lot of times I've said yes and nothing happens too. You know, I've drove down to Savannah, Georgia, opened up for somebody, 5 people are there, and it just wasn't a good show. And it's like, oh, why did I do that? But I think just getting in the habit of like being the yes guy and the guy that's gonna be open to stuff is good.
Well, and I think that's just a good lesson for life, even outside of being a performer. I mean, just in any career, being able to go out there and be
Sure.
like, yeah, I'll do this down and dirty work so that it gets me ahead. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing out there.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just been so helpful because when you say yes, there's a chance that you can fail, right? And I think allowing myself to fail has been the best thing I've done in my career, is just saying, what if I don't care about the judgment of anybody else but myself? And really realize that like the people that I look up to have all tried something and failed pretty badly. Like we all have an artist who put out a single that we don't like. Like it's just real. Or an album that we don't like. Or, you know, they did a movie or something and you're like, what was that? But at the end of the day, you still love them. And what if that movie led them to meeting the director of the movie that you love? You know, so we just don't know. And I try to allow myself to really try and fail, because that data that I gather during that is super helpful.
Well, and how much did that kind of help you when you moved out there to Nashville from Denver? Obviously in Denver, there's quite a few artists, but it's nothing like trying to book a show when you're in Nashville and everybody there is trying to do the same thing that you're doing. I mean, did building those relationships before you came with guys like Tyler Rich or whoever, I mean, did that help you when you got out there?
Yeah, I think Nashville, especially in country music especially, is very relationship oriented. So, you know, as weird or as almost as simple as this is, like if people like you, you have a far greater chance of succeeding, which sounds like kind of like duh, like of course, but there is something to be said of you just have to be a good hang, and you have to have real, not like relationships just so that they'll play your song, like relationships that if music didn't exist, you guys would hang out. And that's how I am with like Tyler and some of these guys. Like we just hang. Tyler and I rarely talk about music. You know, it's more about life, and he's now married. So we talk about him being married, and we talk about our travels. And so the hang is real. And I think getting people to genuinely invest in you as a person is really helpful. So when I came out in January 2016, I met Tyler and I met a couple other people. And really, I can trace most of my, you know, successes or victories back to like meeting 4 or 5 people when I moved out here, and really ran into them at bars or like got introduced by a mutual friend. So it's pretty crazy how it's all worked out.
So if somebody was going to follow in your footsteps and move out there to Nashville, into the most crowded country music city in the world, what would your advice be to help them be successful?
So I always want context, because I think successful is different for everybody. So for me, and this is only me, and I realize that this is kind of crazy, right? So I'm looking at it right now. I'm in my bedroom. There's a picture of Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, and I want to fill up that stadium with people listening and singing back my songs. So my goal is to play a football stadium full of people. So to do that, that is a 1% of the 1% of the 1% that get to do that. So I have to take 1% of 1% actions, you know, to fulfill that kind of a goal. I think a lot of people don't have that goal, and it's not necessary to do music at all. I think like you could be an incredibly successful songwriter and just live a very different life, or like have different goals or need to do different things. So context is really important in that scenario. But let's say somebody does want to go out and they do want to play a stadium. I think a good place to start is like I asked myself, like, this is what I did. And I will be the first person to say, like, look, I'm not qualified to give any advice, but I can tell you what did or didn't work for me and what is or what isn't helpful for me. So back to the dorm days, I'm like, cool, I want to do this. I open up for Tyler. I'm like, okay, this is it. So I was like, well, I need music. I need people who are going to listen to that music, and I need something that helps me get the music to the people. And so for me, social media is free. Like, I can get on TikTok and I can post something, and for $0 and 0 cents, it can get in front of 1 million people if it's good. And so I took the time and I just posted a lot of stuff on socials. I think building real relationships with people on social media where the real attention is, in my opinion, like, when was the last time you watched a TV commercial? Like, when the commercials come on, you look at your phone. And that's what I saw early on was, like, I think the real attention is on socials. So I would say really create a brand and a presence on social media. And I think adding value is the number one thing I'm trying to do. So, like, if I have a new single coming out, I want you to feel like, and this isn't like antiquated or like what's the word I'm looking for? Like super tactical or like planned out. It's just real. Like, I actually want to add value in the lives of my fans. And the beautiful part of that is when I go to release music, if I put out a single and you've been following me for 5 years, I've given you hundreds of pieces of content. I've shared with you my life. I've been vulnerable with you. I've given you a ton of other songs. So when I put something out new and you don't check it out, you'd actually feel guilty. Like, almost like if your friend was like, hey man, can you come to my wedding? And you're like no, you'd feel terrible because hopefully that relationship, you each add so much value in each other's lives, there'd be almost like a guilt. That's what I'm trying to do is like give, so that when I do go for an ask, people are like, the least I can do is go see him in concert. The least I can do is stream the music. And I think a lot of artists, young artists especially, including myself a lot early on, you're doing a lot of asking, like, hey, please check this out, when really you got to figure out, like, how can you give to people so that when you do go for an ask, it's like a no-brainer. And so that I hope is helpful to anybody who's trying to do this, is really taking time to ask yourself, like, are you giving or are you asking? And then, making sure that if you have a 1% dream, that you're taking 1% action.
Well, and I think you've done a great job with that, especially on the social media platforms. I mean, you've got hundreds of thousands of followers on almost every platform, and people go and listen to your music. I mean, you're an independent artist that has, I think it's like 5 songs with over 1 million streams on Spotify alone. And then you were kind enough to share a couple of songs with us. The first one that you shared has over 3 million plays on Spotify, and that's Aint Working For Me. It's off of your 2019 album, More. But
yeah,
give us kind of the story behind how you promoted that song and then where the song came from.
Aint Working For Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that with my buddy Scott Porter, and I think everybody in a breakup, there's kind of like, I like the song because it almost offers 2 different perspectives or 2 different like points. It's like, I wonder what you're doing because this isn't working for me. Like, I wonder if you're also doing all this stuff that isn't helping. Because I've been in breakups before, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I get really drunk, that'll help. Oh, okay, that doesn't help. Okay, maybe if I talk to somebody new, I just need to go like make out with a random person. Okay, no, that makes me feel terrible. Okay, well, maybe I'll lie to her friends and be like, oh my gosh, you guys have no idea how good I'm doing. Okay, well, that doesn't help. And all of that not being helpful, you're almost kind of, it's like a tongue-in-cheek way of saying like, well, I hope it's working for you because this is sucking for me. You know what I mean? And it is really hard to get the streams that we have, and I work really hard along with my manager and a couple other people on the team, and so yeah, it's been fun. Put that out last year.
Well, here, let's let everybody take a listen to it here. This one is called Ain't Working For Me by Spencer Crandall.
Thought I saw your car parked on 2nd Street. Windows tinted dark in the taxi, Tennessee. I just wanted to go out and have a good time, but now you're all over my mind. I bet you're out on the town, eating up every bar, getting drunk with your friends tonight. And I bet you're lying to them when they ask how you been, even though you're barely getting by. I bet you're flirting with somebody, so you don't think about me. I hope the drinking and lying and flirting is working for you, 'cause it ain't working for me. I order up another round thinking that it might help, but there ain't no broken heart remedy sitting on the top shelf. I keep on wondering where you might be, but if you're anything like me, I bet you're out on the town, eating up every bar, getting drunk with your friends tonight. I bet you're lying to them when they ask how you been, even though you're barely getting by. I bet you're flirting with somebody, so you don't think about me. I hope the drinking and lying and flirting is working for you, 'cause it ain't working for me. Time, but now you're all over my mind. I bet you're out on the town, hitting up every bar, getting drunk with your friends tonight. I bet you're lying to them when they ask how you been, even though you're barely getting by. I bet you're flirting with somebody, so you don't think about me. I hope the drinking and lying and flirting is working for you, 'cause it ain't working for me, no. Baby, it ain't working for me, no. It ain't working for me.
And that one is Ain't Working For Me by Spencer Crandall. And Spencer, what do you have planned for 2020? Is there any sort of project in the works?
There is. I can't quite spill all the beans yet, but I am, ever since I started music, I love projects, and I just am obsessed with like bodies of work. And so I've kind of always been working on the next body of work. So I'm working on it. I'm really, really, really excited. I feel like from a production, sonic branding, kind of like who I am as an artist, meeting the writing and like what I want to say, things have really just clicked over in the last like 6 months to a year of like, I don't know, sometimes like it just takes kind of stepping back for a second to get some clarity. And over kind of like last fall, I went through a breakup and I went home for a while for the holidays and stuff. And in that time, just really had a lot of time to be myself again and to think, and was like, man, what if I did this? And it just like the lights came on. And so I know it's tough to like say all that, not to give any more information, but that's kind of where I'm at right now, is like, I am just more excited to be working on the music than I ever have my entire life. And I am so excited to share with the fans because they've been so cool to me and have really, really helped me live my dreams. And so I feel like this is like my love letter to them too. And it's so intentional. It's going to be really fun. It's kind of mysterious and like a puzzle in a fun way. Yeah, again, I can't tell you anything, but it's going to be so fun. I'm so excited.
So what you're saying is that everybody needs to go out and follow you on social media so that they can figure out what's happening.
Exactly.
Well, so right now, I mean, just kind of on a national level, we're in this weird situation that nobody's ever been in before with all of this coronavirus stuff, and part of it even affected us recording here. We had to bump it back a couple of days, but I'm seeing a lot of the bigger artists out there kind of pushing back their release dates and pushing back tours that they had, even though they're 6 months off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
How has it kind of affected what you want to do with the release of this project and what you're working on? I mean, have you started thinking about if it's something that you're trying to rush because people are stuck in their house, or if you're trying to push it off more so that you can do more publicity?
Sure. So for touring, everybody's just kind of out of luck. Like, there's just nothing we can do, and that's good. Like, nobody should be trying to play shows right now. We all just need to be in this together and flatten the curve, and I feel like we all hear that and say that, but it's just really true, and I'll be one more person that you can hear it from. Just let's all stay inside and beat this thing so that in the fall we can go get out and see shows and do fun stuff again. But as far as the music goes, luckily I had a lot of music in the works and a lot of planning that had gone into that. So for me, there is some speed bumps, but pretty much according to our plan. There's been a couple things that we just can't change. Like, I want to go sing some vocals on some songs right now. I just can't. Like, I just can't leave my house. So that's a bummer. But I did quite a bit of planning at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. So a lot of stuff is finished or being really close to finished. So luckily, I feel like hopefully it shouldn't be that different, and we should have the music out the way we want it out, and it should all go according to plan.
Well, and how has it changed your day-to-day stuff? When you go into songwriting, if you want to co-write with somebody, has that moved to Skype, or are you kind of working with the same little group so that you guys are limiting your exposure? Or are you just kind of taking a break from co-writes?
I actually have kind of taken a break, and I'm loving it. I wrote 60-plus songs at the beginning of 2020 and kind of just burnt myself out because I'm such a control freak, and I want to keep beating songs, especially for this next thing. And so I kept writing. Then this whole thing happened, and it was kind of a great excuse for me to be like, oh, bummer, we can't write. Which the beautiful part is I really just believe in taking a breath to keep going. Like, for me, I have to be able to rest and take a step back. And, right now, I'm out of song ideas. There's nothing to write about right now. I'm sitting in my house. I'm kind of bored. I'm doing a lot of socials. I'm doing, some of that work. I have a couple friends who, luckily, we quarantine packed together. So I go over and watch movies at their house, and we don't see anybody else. But other than that, there's no love or heartbreak to write about right now. It's pretty boring. So I'm kind of taking the time. I might hop on some Zoom writes here in the next couple of weeks, but for me, I took a break.
Well, when it comes to your songwriting, what does your process normally look like? I mean, are you still one of those guys that uses a pen and paper, or is your voice memos app full?
My voice memos app is a catastrophe. That thing needs some organizing. Yeah, I use the notes on my phone and my voice memos app for sure. Every song is different. Sometimes it's starting with a melody, starting with some chords. It always has to start with an idea that I think is fresh and cool. And I call that the North Star. If you don't have a strong North Star, it's easy to get lost. So say we're writing a song about heartbreak, and it's called Stay. I've heard, and I love these songs. I've just heard them, and they've been done so well that when I go to write Stay, I just don't really have a lot to say about it. It's not that interesting or different to me. So I could see how around the second verse of the bridge, I just kind of get lost. I'd be like, wait, what is this about? What's the story? What's a cool way to say this? And those are the ones I get frustrated with. The songs that I love or I end up loving are the ones where from the beginning somebody says something that just there's a show on Netflix, stay with me. There's a show on Netflix about cleaning stuff with Marie Kondo. I don't know what it's called, but she always says something sparks joy. So if it sparks joy, you keep it. I feel that. And so I have to have the North Star, and I have to have something that I feel like is unique and cool. And it doesn't always have to be a crazy turn of phrase or something, but it has to be something where I'm like, oh, that's cool. I already can see how we can write that, you know? And then, you know, from there, it can be a track, it can be guitar, it can be somebody bringing up a vocal thing. It can be whatever.
Well, we've got another example of your songwriting here. This one's called My Person. And Spencer, where did this song come from?
Yeah, I love this song. I'm like so proud of this idea still. And that's like what I want all my songs to be, is like I was in a write with Lalo, the guy who I mentioned earlier, and a girl named Kelly Archer, who's an incredible songwriter here in town. And Kelly and I were talking about, I had an idea and it was like, it was like front porch person or something kind of like off.
Mm. And
she was like, I like the idea, but I don't feel like it's what we're trying to say. Say like, oh my gosh, like that's my person. That's my like, and she's like, wait, well then why don't we just say that? And she just like simplified it and pulled it out of me. I was like, oh, you're so much better at this than I am. So, so yeah, we wrote it at the time. It was about somebody who like, I really thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And I think that translates in the song. Like, I think that chorus really, if you've been in love or if you ever want to be in love, it's really relatable. And yeah, put it out last fall.
Well, here, this one's called My Person by Spencer Crandall.
For a long time, I never found nobody like you. I saw you order up on my tie, and suddenly I want to. Got your name, got your number, and we talked till they turned on the lights. I was looking for a long time. I didn't know that night I'd find my person, my heartbeat, my slow dance, my Sunday morning sipping on coffee in bed. I know when you know best friend, the stealer of my t-shirts, my reason for speeding home from work, my saving grace, my everything. I've never been more sure that you're my person. Even when you blow the punchline, nobody makes me laugh like you do. Every minute is a long time. If I ain't holding on to you, you're my staying on the weekend, you're my come undone. You're my call home saying it's more than love, mama, she's the one. Yeah, you're my person, my heartbeat, my slow dance, my Sunday morning sipping on coffee in bed. My know when you know best friend, the stealer of my t-shirts, my reason for speeding home from work, my saving grace, my everything. I've never been more sure that you're my person. My slow dance, my Sunday morning sipping on coffee in bed. My know when you know best friend, the stealer of my t-shirt, my reason for speeding home from work, my saving grace, my everything. I've never been more sure that you're my person. Yeah, baby, you're my person.
That one is his newest single. Came out last fall. It's My Person by Spencer Crandall. And Spencer, we've been talking about your social media quite a bit because it's a big part of what you do. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, I mean, socials gave me my career, and I'm so thankful for them. You can find me at Spencer Crandall pretty much anywhere, or you can just search my name, and it'll have a blue check mark next to it, and I'd love for you to follow along and send me a DM, folks. I really do, like, that's my favorite part of social media is that I can like actually connect with people. I was doing a Instagram live the other day and someone's like, hey, from Australia, hey, from Scotland, hey, from Portugal. I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Well, so what are your social media handles?
At Spencer Crandall.
That's super easy.
Yep, just my name.
Well, there you go. Well, man, thank you so much for jumping on here with me, Spencer. We end every podcast the same way. We call it the Final Four, and it's probably the 4 toughest questions that I'm going to ask you through this whole thing, just because they make you think.
Great.
Okay, here we go. First one, if you could go on tour with anybody, alive or dead, who would it be?
Okay, in genre, Keith Urban. Out of genre, Justin Timberlake.
Ooh. A little Justin there, huh?
Always.
Okay.
Always. Man crush of all man crushes.
I feel like you're not alone with that.
I agree.
Okay, how about this? Where were you and who were you with the first time you heard somebody playing your music that you didn't play it?
Oh, that's crazy. I was at a party in college, and it was like a summer, kind of like a pool hang, and it was the end of kind of my like being in college, not doing music days, and there was some like overlap. So if you're tracking this far, opened up for Tyler, but not quite moved to Nashville, if that makes sense. Like, had a little bit of social stuff going, and I had a single out at the time, and a girl just literally starts playing it at the party, and my buddy Jeff's like, ha ha ha, very funny. Like, she's like, what? And she's like, oh, because Spencer's right here. You're just gonna like play a song. And she's like, who? Like, she didn't put it together that it was me, because she just found it on like a Discover Weekly or something playlist, and she's like, I literally have no idea who this person is. So that was cool. Like, it's fun when that kind of stuff happens. It's little stuff like that kind of keeps you going, especially early on.
Oh, for sure. Okay, how about this one? What's your favorite venue that you've ever played?
Oh, man.
Told you, tough questions.
I got to play the Troubadour in LA, which is very iconic. And, it's one of probably like the just more iconic venues in the world. There's people that got their start there that are just like insane. And so you go look at the walls around in there. That's a fun place. And then anytime I play in Denver is just fun. It doesn't really matter the venue, but the time I played the biggest show there, I think, was at the Fillmore, and I opened up for Chris Lane. And it was just so cool, like having high school friends, college friends, family members, like people I just don't get to see a lot, So that's one of my favorite shows, and that venue is just really cool.
Okay, here we go. Last one, and it might tie into that question. Okay. What is your favorite on-stage memory?
Favorite on-stage memory? I've never thought of this one. I thought of the other ones. You got me here. I did a show like really early on in Denver, and I think it was just like acoustic. Like, I think it was Tyler and I did like a headlining, like co-headlining acoustic thing. And at the end of it, I walked off and just like wasn't expecting it, and had like a really just large encore kind of like chant thing, and it was just really cool. And it was like all my friends and family, and then just like actual fans were there for the first time. And it was the first time as an artist that I was like, whoa, like people actually want to hear my songs. Like, they bought tickets, they bought it, they bought gas for their cars, they got babysitters, they got hotels, and they spent their Thursday or Friday, whatever night. It was just a really cool moment, because I think it was the first time in my life that I was like, oh, people actually care about my music, and they like would spend their money and like spend their Friday night like with me. And it just sunk in, and I was like, I think I can do this, which is a cool moment as an artist.
I bet. I mean, I feel like that's one of those moments that you feel like that you're going down the right path and doing the right thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Spencer, man, it's been a good time. Thank you so much. It's been a little bit crazy with our technical issues and getting you on, but it's been worth it, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Anytime. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. We'll have to do it again in the future, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. And that was another episode of the Tea Party Podcast, the country music podcast where you find new friends and new music like Spencer Crandall.